Hello, welcome to the Double Doink Podcast. This is a podcast of all things NFL. And in this episode, I was just going to give my biggest expectations for every NFL team heading into the year. So, starting off with the Arizona Cardinals, my biggest expectation is to see Kyler Murray be healthy. I want to see a full and healthy season from Kyler Murray in the Cardinals. Next up, the Atlanta Falcons. I want to see their defense be supportive of their new offense. I expect them to make the playoffs as the 7th seed. So my expectation for them is for their offense to carry them to the 7th seed. The Baltimore Ravens, their expectation is to beat the Chiefs, and you'll see this later on as well. The Buffalo Bills, again, can they beat the Chiefs? The Baltimore Ravens and the Buffalo Bills have had their seasons ended multiple times by the Kansas City Chiefs. And their expectation is to beat the Chiefs and ultimately make it to the Super Bowl. Now, the expectation is more on the Baltimore Ravens than the Buffalo Bills right now, because the Ravens do have a lot more pieces with the new addition of Derrick Henry, and the Bills lost more pieces, but they are both Super Bowl contending teams. The Carolina Panthers, my expectation is to see a big improvement in Bryce Young. Their former first-round pick last year had a decent season, but I need to see a sophomore level improvement this season from Bryce Young. The Chicago Bears, their expectation is again to make the playoffs. With their new addition of Keenan Allen and their first round pick of Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze, they should be a highly potent offense. Now their defense is a little bit suspect, but with the likes of Jalen Johnson on their secondary, they should not have any problems in making the playoffs as the 6th seed. The Cincinnati Bengals, they also have Super Bowl aspirations. Their expectation is again to make the Super Bowl, but Joe Burrow needs to be healthy for that to happen. And I do expect him to be healthy this year. The Cleveland Browns, their expectations is a bit weird now, as they are expected to make the playoffs because they do have all these pieces around them, but we don't know how good Deshaun Watson is. Deshaun Watson wasn't the best last year and the year before that, as he only played a couple games, and he hasn't gotten back to his Houston Texans form. So we need to see how that occurs. The Dallas Cowboys. Their expectation, realistically, is to make the NFC Conference Championship game. With 3 of their top players' contracts waning, they need to figure out a way to sign Dak, CD, and Micah. But right now, they have all those players for this year, and their expectation, as of right now, is to make the NFC Conference Championship game, as they haven't made that in nearly 30 years. The Denver Broncos, they are in a rebuild right now with Bo Nix, so they should be one of the bottom teams of the NFL. So they don't have too much expectation on them right now. The Detroit Lions, they are also a Super Bowl expectation team. They just came off a conference championship game last year and a really good 9-win year the year before that. They're on their trajectory is only going up from now, and so they're expected to make the Super Bowl this year. The Green Bay Packers, they're expected to make the NFC Championship game. With the big step up in Jordan Love's true rookie season that he had last year, the Green Bay Packers should be making at least it deeper into the playoffs. Maybe a division round, but the conference championship game is a possibility for them, and some fans could expect that from them. The Houston Texans, we aim to see a big, not a big upgrade, but a decent upgrade in CJ Stroud, and them to make it again back to the division round in the playoffs, as the AFC is stacked with a lot of good teams. So Texans, they should at least make the division round like they did last year, if not make the conference championship game as well. The Indianapolis Colts, we need to see a first fully healthy year of Anthony Richardson, as he got injured after playing only about 4 games last year. So expectations could vary now. People like me who think Anthony Richardson is a really good player, my expectation is for them to make the playoffs as a 7th seed, actually, because they were very close last year, and they're going to have better quarterback play, I assume, with Anthony Richardson. So they could make the playoffs. But now Anthony Richardson might not be the best quarterback, so they might not go too far with him either. So this year is just an evaluation year for Anthony Richardson. The year after that, maybe we could see, but this year, their true expectation is just to be in playoff contention. So Jacksonville Jaguars, their expectation is to win the division. They were on pace to win the division last year before Trevor Lawrence got hurt and then played through it and didn't have the best stretch. So they lost, I think, 5 out of their last 6 or 7 games. wasn't too good. So they're expected to win the division this year, or they should be in competition with the Houston Texans to win the division this year. Kansas City Chiefs, well, of course, three-peat on the line for them, winning the Super Bowl again. Now the receiving core should take a step up with the addition of Marquise Brown. So now their receiving core is gonna have to be up to the par that the rest of the team was last year. They didn't lose anything on their defense, so that's a plus. And of course, they left Travis Kelce, so they're three-peat on the line for the Chiefs. Las Vegas Raiders. So this team is a bit weird now because they don't have a starting quarterback yet. They still have Gardner Minshew and Aiden O'Connell fighting it out. And last year they were in playoff contention towards the end. So again, this year, I'm gonna say my expectation for them is to be in playoff contention towards week 16, 17, maybe not in 18, but they should be still there in contention towards the end of the year this year. The Chargers. This team, we need to see how Justin Herbert will do without all his weapons. So the expectation is for them to be a middle of the pack team, but with Herbert's talent, they could go further. And expectation is to see that Herbert takes a step up and shows why he's one of the better young quarterbacks in the league. The Rams, they have playoff expectations. Last year, they barely made it in, but Matthew Stafford got hurt, I think, towards the middle of the season. So they did make it in. They didn't do much after getting in. They lost to the Lions, but they're expected again to make the playoffs. Now, there's a lot of teams expected to make the playoffs, so they could become as a 7th seed, 6th seed, because 5th seed, I think, is going to be either the Eagles or the Cowboys. So the Miami Dolphins expectation is again making the playoffs, but a separate expectation is seeing Tyreek break 2,000 yards. Very close last year, of course. So now this year he should be going for it. Number one player ranked by his peers in the NFL top 100 list. So we should see him breaking 2,000 receiving yards. The Vikings, now that J.J. McCarthy is hurt, they don't have too much expectation on them now. They were in an evaluation year for J.J. McCarthy, but now with him gone and injured for pretty much the whole season, they should be one of the worst teams, at least in their division alone, because they do have to compete with the Detroit Lions, the Bears, and the Green Bay Packers, and I don't see him winning more than 2 of those division games. The New England Patriots, I think they're going to be the worst team in the league, so no expectations there. I guess we're going to see who's their quarterback, Drake May, Joe Milton. Joe Milton played really well first game preseason, so who knows? Probably going to be Drake May. Another evaluation year for their young quarterbacks. So the New York Giants, they're expected to be the worst team in the NFC East. They didn't do well last year, but that was with Tommy DeVito, and they lost Saquon this year. Not too many pieces for Daniel Jones to deal with. And when Daniel Jones was there, they did put up 0 points against the Cowboys. So they aren't expected to do much. The New Orleans Saints, their expectation, again, middle of the pack, but we need to see if their defense can carry them towards the playoffs. So they're expected to have a good defense. Their offense, again, a bit suspect. New York Jets, the expectation is for them to make the playoffs again, but we need to see how well a 40-year-old Aaron Rodgers can be, because we only saw about 4 snaps last year, and this year we don't know how well he's going to do. So it's like the expectation is to be in playoff contention or make the playoffs as like a 6th, 7th seed. But if they do make the playoffs, that means there's going to be 3 teams from the AFC East, and I don't really see that happening. So I don't see the Jets making the playoffs. Some people do expect them to make the playoffs. That's a bit hard for them, as they're going to be the Miami Dolphins and the Buffalo Bills in their division. Philadelphia Eagles, expectation is Super Bowl. They have Super Bowl expectations now with Saquon Barkley. They have paid all their guys. They have everyone there. They should be able to get either like the 2nd seed, 1st seed, or 5th seed in their conference, leaning towards the 2nd seed. San Francisco 49ers should take that 1st seed spot. But they do have some tension between Nick Sirianni and Jalen Hurts. I do expect that to get resolved soon so that they can be more cohesive. Last year, there was some failures. That I think they will improve on that, and Saquon Barkley will be immense help for the run game. Pittsburgh Steelers, they have a winning season. Easy expectation with Mike Tomlin being there. They should have a winning season right there. They need to figure out who their future quarterback is going to be. So they do have a hard beginning stretch. So we're going to see who the quarterback will be for the future based on that. Russell Wilson should start, I believe, but Justin Fields should take over towards 7th, 8th week, around there, to take them forward. And I feel like Justin Fields could be their starting quarterback of the future, because I just believe in Justin Fields in the Bears, but Caleb Williams, of course, probably is going to be better, so they probably had to move on from him. The 49ers, they have Super Bowl expectations. They need to win the Super Bowl this year because Brandon Ayuk is going to probably be leaving this year. Brock Purdy's on a minimum contract, less than $1 million. They need to win the Super Bowl this year. They have a lot of pieces. They have been knocking on the door previous 3-4 years. This is the year they have to break through and win the Super Bowl, because I don't see these pieces staying in San Francisco for much longer without them winning a Super Bowl. Seattle Seahawks, they have playoff expectations now. The Seahawks, they were in contention last year. Did fall off towards the end of the season. That's why they couldn't make it in. Year before that, Gino was playing really, really well. It was an MVP contention towards the beginning, middle of the year. So this year they should be in playoff contention, I guess, towards maybe the middle end of the season. They shouldn't be out by then. But now it's a lot of upcoming teams in the NFC, so they might not be up to the level of the new upcoming teams, such as the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Atlanta Falcons. These all teams, except for of course the Buccaneers and the Bears. The Packers didn't make the playoffs last year, so there's gonna be new teams competing for spots. The Buccaneers, they should make the playoffs, but a big question for them was last year a fluke, or can Baker Mayfield reproduce? So if Baker Mayfield can reproduce like he did last year, they should be able to make the playoffs again. And Tennessee Titans, the expectations, one of the worst teams. They don't have anything to look forward to right now, I would say. Will Levis, his first game did throw 4 touchdowns, but after that, threw 4 touchdowns in the remaining games he played in. So I don't see Will Levis being that good of a quarterback. And they did lose Derrick Henry to the Ravens, so they don't have too much to hang their hat on right now. Washington Commanders, the last team, I expect them to rival the Cowboys in the NFC East. They, of course, got Dan Quinn to improve their defense, and they got a lot of pieces too. Even from the Cowboys, Dorrance Armstrong, Tyler Biadasz, a lot of players that followed under Dan Quinn's footsteps to the Commanders. Now the starting quarterback is going to be here or there. Sam Howell. I thought Sam Howell played really well, so who knows? But they should be well improved from last season and should put up a fight. And sneaky team. This is a sneaky team to make the playoffs right here, Washington Commanders. If they can, win 4 out of their 6 division games, they should be in a really good spot. So thank you for listening to my first podcast. Peace out.